All right, welcome out to another episode this afternoon of the Universal Sports Podcast. This will be episode number 7. This is the podcast where we talk college and professional sports. And today we're going to talk some MLB, some NCAA, college baseball. There's a game going on now, and one later this evening. I'm your host, Gabriel Trevino, and I love coming on. I said I was going to come on Monday through Friday. I'm still working on that. I'm getting a little better every day, but I'm still working on some other stuff, some schedules. Right after this podcast, I'll be taking off to go watch some football, some high school football. But here, I wanted to come on briefly and just kind of talk a little bit about what's going on in professional and college sports. And right now, we've got a college game going on. The World Series, actually, you got Tennessee taking on number 8 Stanford. We are in the top of the 7th with one out, tied at 4-4. This is for the elimination game. So the winner of this game, I believe, will advance. The loser will go home for the season because I believe this is the elimination game. And then later on this evening at 6 p.m. on ESPN, you'll have number 5 LSU, 49-15, taking on the number 1 team in the country, Wake Forest, 53-10. That's a double elimination game. So that'll be a good game to watch. I will not unfortunately be watching that game from the house. I do have my cell phone and I do have a way where I can watch it. So as I'm watching the high school game this evening, I'll also be watching the college game tonight at 6, and then also paying attention to some Little League All Stars also that's going on in my area. So a lot of stuff going on. Um, but like I said on this podcast, we talk professional and college sports, and also we'll get into the MLB here in just a minute. I'll kind of run down the schedule for you. And while I'm doing that, I'm also in the office jamming out to some 80s. I got the little satellite radio going. Every time I sit here, every now and then I get into the 80s. It takes me back to when I was in my junior high, high school years, right? So sometimes I don't always hear the 80s every day, but when I'm sitting here, I've got it programmed to the 80s. So as I'm doing a podcast, I'll turn it up here. I don't know if you guys can hear it because I got the headphones on, but I can definitely hear it. They got some good jams. It takes me back to my 7th and 8th grade, ninth grade years, man. It's fun to listen to the 80s every now and again. So let me kind of get to the schedule, the universal schedule. So I put up a schedule every day that kind of not all of the MLB teams, but the ones that I think are going to be a good matchup. So let me kind of get to that and let you know what we've got on the schedule, on the Universal Sports schedule for today. And we do got some good games. I did see. We'll start off with let's see. We do have a game. The San Diego Padres, 35-36, going to take on the Giants. That's a West Coast matchup there. Starting pitchers for the Padres, you got Michael Wacha, 7-2, 2.89 ERA. For the Giants, San Francisco, you got Ryan Walker, 2-0, 1.23 ERA. He'll be a good pitching duel here. Padres picking it up here a little bit. Giants also 39-32. These guys are always fighting a battle up there. Of course, they got to try to catch the Dodgers. Dodgers kind of slipping just a little bit. But this should be a good game. I'll have the results in tomorrow's podcast to see. That's game 1 of, I believe, a 3-game series that'll start tonight. San Diego, in their first meeting, took the sweep 2-0 on the Padres. I mean, on the Giants. So San Diego, in their first meeting, they played 2 games already this year, and San Diego won both of those. This will be game 1 of their second matchup here. We'll see if the Padres can continue winning or if the Giants can win tonight. I'll have that recap tomorrow for you. Also, another game on the schedule. You have the Arizona Diamondbacks at 43-29, visiting the Milwaukee Brewers, 37-34. I've been a little surprised. Slowly, I've been watching Arizona, and I've been thinking, okay, Arizona's going to kind of drop, but they're really playing slow, and no one's really talking about them. But they got 43 wins out there, 29 losses. So Arizona is a team that I'm starting to pay a little bit of attention to. Starting pitchers for Arizona, you got Merrill Kelly, 8-3, 3.04 ERA. For Milwaukee, Corbin Burns, 5-4, 3.44 ERA. This is game 1. Arizona, they met once already. Arizona took the series win 2-1. This would be their second matchup of the year, but this is game 1 of that second series. So that'll be a good one. Also, we've got and this is something of a team that's really, I think, playing a lot better than at the start of the season. You got the Boston Red Sox 37-35 taking on the Minnesota Twins 36-36 500. Pitching for Boston, James Paxton 2-1, 3.09 ERA. Minnesota, Pablo Lopez 3.3, 4.27 ERA. This is game one of this series. Boston and Minnesota, they have met up before the season. Boston won their first meeting with the series 2-1. This will be a good matchup. Boston's been playing really good as of late, and they are in a really their last place. It's really kind of interesting, right? Because they're playing really good, and yet they're still, I believe, last place in their division. They're in that New York Yankees. They're in that Toronto, Tampa Bay. So the Boston Red Sox, as well as they're playing, still are I think last place in their division. So that's a heck of a division. I tell you, man, I pay attention to all of those teams that are there. Like I said, Boston being in last place, and I still think they're playing great ball. And I anticipate that Boston's going to be playing. They're coming off of that sweep over the Yankees, which is big time, I think, for Boston. So you're starting to see Boston now, a slow start, but they're starting now to play really good baseball. So it's going to be very interesting. That division is going to be very interesting to see. Yankees got swept. They have a couple of injuries there. The big time, their big slugger, Aaron Judge, is out. We'll see, and we'll talk about him in a minute. But the Yankees could be slipping. We're gonna pay close attention to the Boston Red Sox and see if they can continue winning and see if they can climb uh, out of last place in their division. Another game on the schedule tonight. You got the Toronto Blue Jays 39-34 taking on the Miami Marlins 41-31. Miami, like Arizona, another team that's just really flying under the radar on this side of the world. Right on my side, not talking a lot about Miami, but we are starting to keep a close eye on them, playing really good baseball. Toronto on the mound for the Blue Jays, Jose Berros, 7-4, 3.28 ERA for Miami. Brian Hoeing, 1-1, 3.12 ERA. This is game one. This is the first time these two teams are going to meet. They'll meet in Miami. This is game one. We'll definitely have and we'll talk about the recap game tomorrow when I come on the podcast. Another game on the schedule. You've got the Texas Rangers 44-27 taking on the Chicago White Sox in Chicago 31-42. The Rangers didn't do so well, I believe, in this last series. But they're still playing a great baseball. They are in first place in their division. And I anticipate they're going to win the series against the struggling Chicago White Sox at 31-42. On the mound for the Texas, Andrew Haney, 4-4, 4.05 ERA. It was undecided. They had not mentioned a pitcher for the Chicago White Sox. This is a series where the Texas Rangers need to continue to win. If they can't get a sweep, at least win the series. I anticipate that they will. They got a good pitcher on the mound tonight. We'll see how this fares out. This is game one of, I think, a 3-game series. Texas is leading in their division. At second place, now you got the Los Angeles Angels and the Houston Astros. My Houston Astros are now third. I'll talk about them here in a minute. But the other game on the schedule for tonight, you have the New York Mets traveling to Houston at 33-38, taking on my Houston Astros 39-33. On the mound for the Mets, Max Scherzer, 5-2, 4.45 ERA for Houston. You got Hunter Brown, 6-3, 3.35 ERA. What's interesting here about this team, give me just a second. So I'm jamming to the 80s. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit as I start talking a little bit about the Astros. What's interesting to me about the Astros, we're coming off of a sweep, and I'm not saying that we swept the Reds. The Reds actually came into Houston and swept us, and I was really disappointed. At the start of the season at work, there's a lot of workers there that I work that are from Houston, and they're all about H-Town, and they love the Astros. I mean, I love the Astros, and early on in the season, I started to kind of see when Garcia went down, McCullers was out. I was kind of concerned. We had lost a couple of games. We took the series against Tampa, and then we took the series against Atlanta. And I was like, okay, we're coming back. But then we've fallen. and we win one, lose two, win two, lose one. We just have not been consistently, winning six, seven, eight, 9 games like we have. And all I heard was, we get into a slow start. We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. And that was fine. That usually has been the Houston Astros pattern where they start off slow, then they get it together. But I started to see also the things that were concerning to me while I was telling these guys that I was concerned was I saw the Texas Rangers, and they were a better team this year than they were last year. Tampa Bay Rays, they're a lot better. They're still almost at 70 games, right? They're still playing great baseball. You always have the Yankees, Toronto, Baltimore, Cleveland, Boston. I mean, there are a lot of teams. I just felt like Houston was not playing their A game. The bullpen to me has given up some games. Last year, you saw, man, that was the. I mean, our pitchers were good, but if we took a lead last year, we were up 3-1, 4-2. And going into the seventh, eighth, and ninth inning, we had a lead 9 times out of 10. Our bullpen was coming in and we were going to win that game, right? That has not been the case early on this season. Our bullpen has given up some runs. We have lost some games. Our pitchers, starting pitchers, not that bad. But it's been the bullpen. Our offense at times, they show up, and then at other times they don't show up. They lose a game 2-1. We just can't hit. Now we do have some injuries. Jordan Alvarez is out. That's big time. Altuve was out at the beginning of the season. Brantley was already supposed to be back. He had a setback. So there have been some injuries, and I understand that there have been some injuries that has caused Houston to have the record that they have, and they're currently third place in the division. But what's concerning to me is other teams also have injuries. Texas's ace is out, and they're still finding ways to win games. Tampa Bay, they're a big time. Rasmussen, I believe their pitcher. They're missing a pitcher, and they're still winning. So there are other teams like Houston who have injuries as well. I understand that, but they're still winning. Houston is not, and then now really, you know, having a Cincinnati team that comes into Houston and completely sweeps the Astros. The Astros don't even get a win. I think got to be really concerned. So as I sit here talking about my Houston Astros, do I still have confidence that they can win? Absolutely. That's still a very good baseball team, a very good offense with a really good bullpen. Our pitching is kind of iffy right now because we've got some injuries to some of our key pitchers. Hunter Brown has been really great for us this year. So, am I giving up on my Houston Astros? Absolutely not. Do I think they can turn it around? Absolutely. I've had people, they need to get rid of Dusty Baker. Listen, Dusty Baker won the World Series last year. So, am I willing to say, let's get rid of him? Not yet. I do think they will turn it around. But again, losing these games, you've got other teams that I don't think are going to fall. And if they do, they're not going to fall all the way down, right? Now, some people tell me, hey, as long as we make the playoffs, I understand that. Um, but I'm still concerned. But we got to start winning some series. And we start off with the Mets coming in tonight. Tomorrow you're going to have Justin Verlander going up against Framber Valdez. That's going to be a really good one. But if we can get the sweep on the Mets, that would be great. But we got to start winning series. We can't lose series anymore. And some sweeps would be really good. Then we're going to travel, I believe, up to LA. So listen, the schedule doesn't get any easier. We got to start winning some series with what we've got. I think our offense is still very talented, even though Jordan Alvarez is out. We still got hitters. That offense is still good. That can produce some runs. The bullpen really needs to get going. That was our strength last year. We got to get back to the way we were pitching last year. Like I said, our starting pitchers, McCullers is out. He won't be back. Garcia is out. Urquidy hopefully will be back soon. Brantley hopefully will be back soon. Jordan Alvarez out for a couple more weeks. So, I mean, I know it's key for Houston to get healthy, but with the players that we got, we still got to find ways to win. For Cincinnati to come in to Houston, take three, and Houston not win one, that's disappointing. We're better than that, and that should have never happened. So we got to we got to start playing some good baseball. We got to start grinding out some wins. If that's just doing what we got to do, we've had some overthrows. We've had a lot of mistakes on the defensive side too that has cost us some games. So there's just a lot of stuff to be concerned about right now, the way the Houston Astros are playing. With all that being said, though, I do believe that we can turn it around. This is pretty much the same team that won the World Series just last year. So we have the capabilities. The bullpen needs to get it together. Dusty Baker needs to find out what's going on and start getting on these guys. Um, I'm sure he understands how talented this team is, but we've got to start winning some ball games. We can't just hang our hat and say, well, we're gonna pull it together. We're gonna pull it together here in about next month, or we'll pull it together in July. That doesn't work anymore. We got to start winning some series. We got to start sweeping some series. We got to start winning some ball games because the Texas Rangers are winning ball games. The Los Angeles Angels are now second place in the division currently. What I saw last night, they're playing some baseball. You've got the Boston Red Sox that are playing some baseball, Tampa Bay Rays. You've got Baltimore, Toronto, and the Yankees are the Yankees, right? So, listen, if we want to get back to the World Series and win another World Series back to back, we're going to have to play a heck of a lot better than what we've shown this last month and a half. So, I'm going to definitely pay close attention also to tonight's game. Hunter Brown has been pitching really good, but we got to get a win tonight. And then Framber Valdez got to get that win against Justin Verlander. We've got to at least sweep the Mets, or we've got to at least win the series. We've got to start winning series. We've got to start getting back and catching those Texas Rangers. So, depending on what happens in this series, will tell me a lot. If we can win the series or sweep the series, go to LA, win the series there, then I'll be a little bit more content. But right now, we're just not playing really good baseball, and we got to figure out what our issues are and start getting there. Jeremy Pena last year was playing MVP style baseball, right? He's not doing that now. We're not, Bregman. I mean, our offense at times plays really good, and it seems like when we score those runs, and we score 5+ runs, we still can't win the game because our bullpen, our pitching isn't there. We give up big runs, big, devastating runs to lose the game. And then when our pitching is there and we hold the other opponents to maybe 1 run, 2-3 runs, our offense can't score any runs. So the times that we do, it seems like score a lot of runs, our pitching isn't there. And the time when our pitching is there and we're pitching really good, our offense can't get going. So we end up losing the game one way or the other. So we got to start learning how to be able to win games. And I know we can, where our pitching is dominant and our offense is dominant. And like I said, it really comes down to we can get some sweeps in some of these series. That would be great. But we've got to start winning some 3-4 game series. We've got to start winning series. If that's 2-1, 3-0, 4-2, or whatever the case. I mean, I'm sorry. It's not tying it. Winning those 4 game series, winning those 3 game series, whatever it takes. But we've got to start winning some series and getting some series sweeps, man, to get back in this race, to be able to get back and catch those Texas Rangers. And I think we got to put about a 10, 12, 13 game win streak. I think if we can do that, that'll be great. But when Brantley hopefully will come back and we get that lineup going, hopefully we can put a good winning streak. But as of right now, man, I am concerned as far as my Houston Astros and what I have seen them lately, the way they have played. And with Cincinnati coming into Houston and taking that a series and sweeping us, boy, that was really, really concerning for me. So I am concerned right now. But am I giving up on my Astros? Not a chance. This is a championship team, and I know that somewhere down the line, hopefully really, really soon, they're going to put it together. So we'll see what happens. You can also go on the Universal Sports Podcast, the Twitter page, and I do have polls up there. You can put your polls there. I have seen some people that have been actually voting. So I really appreciate that. And again, I would like to be able to get more people to go out there. So just go to the Universal Sports. That's on my Twitter page, the Universal Sports Twitter page. And you can catch that every day. I'll put a poll. I just kind of look at the schedule. If it's a 3 game series, I'll probably 9 times out of 10 put all 3 games up there. So you can vote on that. But if not, it's just kind of like a schedule. So sometimes you may see certain your teams will be up there. I kind of put the schedule. I kind of make the voting polls based on good matchups, teams that are winning, teams that I think will be a good series matchup. So, like I said, go out there when you get a chance. Please place your votes when you get a chance. And those that are voting, I really appreciate You guys going up there and voting. Also, we got football, right? Football is just around the corner, and it's I mean, it's going to be we're about maybe six weeks away from, I believe, training camp. So I'm really excited. I was excited last year for the AFC. I think the AFC is going to be another great season. Now you add Aaron Rodgers in there. You got CJ Stroud from Houston. We'll see what this guy can do. Bryce Young. I'm reading up on some stuff from Bryce Young out there from Carolina. Boy, everything I'm hearing out there, man, is good stuff. This kid is going to start week one pretty much, unless something goes bad. He is scheduled to start week one. I can't wait to see this guy play. I mean, I know he's small, and I've seen some photos, and he looks really small out there. But that's really the only hit that you have on him. Everything else, this kid checks the boxes. Everything I'm reading from out there is telling me this guy has become really impressive. He's impressing his teammates, his coaches. He's a leader. We saw what he did all this in Alabama. If you're gonna play a few years for Nick Saban, you're gonna come out of Alabama with something. So this kid is small. I'm really curious to see if that size and stuff is really going to affect him when he takes a hit, or can he get the ball when he's got these big 6'6" defensive line. I mean, I want to see all of that. I personally think he's going to be okay, but I don't know that. I mean, size does matter in the NFL. So I want to see how he's going to be able to play the first couple of games. But everything that I'm reading out there is positive. Carolina is really impressed with what they've seen. The short time that he's been out there. But what I'm reading in the articles and what people are saying coming out of that organization, it's all been positive. CJ Stroud still hasn't been named the starter. If it'll be Mills or Stroud, they still haven't said who's going to be the starter. Of course, we're still a little ways off, but I'm sure at some point, whether if Stroud does start or not, I'm sure at some point in the season we're going to see him start a few games. I mean, he didn't become the second pick in the draft just to sit the whole year. So I'm sure we're going to see him. Will that be week one or not? I don't know. Um, as I said in my last podcast, I believe I talked to a lot of guys that are from Houston. That they believe, or there's one guy that believes that the Texans will win the division. I don't think they'll win the division this year. I think, Tennessee, I think, is going to rebound back. I think, if Tannehill or whoever their quarterback is, they still got, Henry out there. I think Tennessee, I think people are just kind of wiping them out. I think they're going to be in contentions for a division title. Then you've got Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville. They were really good last year. I don't think they're going to fall back this year. I think they're going to continue to build on what they had last year. They've got a great coach out there in Peterson. So, for Houston to say they'll win the division, I don't think they'll win the division, and that's what they'll need to do if you're even talking about playoffs when it comes to Houston. For a team that won 3 games last year, do I think they're going to be better this year? Absolutely. Is that defense going to be better than last year? I think they will. Are they going to win more games than 3 this year? I think they will. I love their head coach. I think that was the right a pick for Houston to get DeMeco Ryans. I think he's going to build that team up every year. But are they going to be a playoff team next year or this upcoming year? Are they going to win the division? I don't see that happening. I could be wrong, but I've got to go on the side that no, I don't think so. But it's going to be very interesting, and I'm going to pay a lot of attention because I've got people from the Texans. If they win game 1 against Baltimore, boy, my phone's going to be blowing up because they're going to be letting me know that, see, I told you so. But it's a long season, and for a team that won 3 games, and for a quarterback possibly that could start for you that's never played an NFL game, I just think it's really asking a lot to go out and win a division when you still got Tennessee, you still got a playoff team in Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence, who really did good last year and got to the second round of the playoffs. And then you got an Indianapolis team that you don't know exactly what you can expect. So I just think it's too early to give them the division title, but I think they'll be better than last year, but not division champs. Definitely not getting into the playoffs. Now let's talk a little bit about my Dallas Cowboys. And I read up a lot about the Cowboys. I've been really critical of Dak Prescott. Am I a Dak Prescott fan? I'm not a fan of Dak Prescott per se because he's Dak Prescott. I'm a fan because he's quarterbacking the team that I love, the Dallas Cowboys. When he first came into the league, he was hot. Everybody was talking about him. Romo out, Dak Prescott in. But through the years, this man has regressed. Last year, in particular, with the interceptions, the way he played, and just I've seen enough over the last couple of years that he's played for the Cowboys, where in big moments when we've needed him to be big, he has not. When we've needed him to put a drive together to take us down and win a game, he hasn't been able to do that. So moving forward, still a young guy. Do I think he's capable of doing that? Absolutely. Was Kellen Moore the problem for the Cowboys? I don't know. At times, Kellen Moore looked brilliant in certain games, calling the right plays. The offense scoring a lot of points. You'd say the next week, man, that man, here we go. Kellen Moore's getting it going now. Now the Cowboys are rolling. And then you see the next week, and they can't score a touchdown. They look horrible. The offense 3 and out, 3 and out. So I've seen a lot of one week the Cowboys are looking really good, looking like a team that can go to the Super Bowl, possibly win another Super Bowl. And then the very next week that they play, I have no idea who this team is. Same number, same players, but I have no idea what's going on. It's almost like, they look to lose the game purposely, right? I just don't understand how you can be good one week and then the very next week you're bad. I mean, I know defenses and teams are different, but man, to be that bad where you lose a game you should win, or you just turning the ball over. So was Kellen Moore a problem? Of course, he's a coordinator. Was he the whole problem? Could we say Kellen Moore's gone now, so those problems are over? I don't think so, because the problems that you saw didn't all fall on, in my opinion, on the shoulders of Kellen Moore. But I do feel, and I've told people this when I've talked to them about the Cowboys, something had to change. You couldn't come back with the season that you saw last year from the Cowboys. Yes, they made the playoffs, but with the season that Dak Prescott had offensively, there was no way that you could come back with the same coordinator and the same coach. I just didn't see that happening. Now, Dallas made the decision to let Kellen Moore go, and let Mike McCarthy now call the plays. I think that was the right call because Mike McCarthy is the head coach. Kellen Moore was the offensive coordinator. But for um, McCarthy now, partly that offense is to blame. Whether you're calling the shots or not, when you come out and say, "Well, Kellen Moore, he likes to light up the scoreboard." Well, you're the head coach. If you don't like the way he's running the plays as the head coach, which puts you ahead of the offensive coordinator, right? You should have stepped in. So when he blames Kellen Moore for, he wanted to light it up and stuff. Well, if you didn't feel that was good, then you should have had a talk with him. If you did, and you should have shut that down, right? Because obviously, from what I heard and what you were saying, was something that you really weren't on board with, right? I don't know if you were criticizing them, but you were saying, "Look, man, he wants to light up the ball. I want to run the ball a little bit more." So you should have told him that as the head coach. Look, I want more run plays. That's why you're the head coach. That's why there's not two offensive coordinators. There's a head coach and there's an offensive coordinator. And last time I checked, the head coach supersedes the offensive coordinator. So McCarthy's also to blame for the failures on the offense. The interceptions, all of that stuff. It falls on both of them. But then he's the head coach. He has the authority to fire or talk to Jerry, and they decided to let Kellen Moore go. Now, Mike McCarthy, now it's all on you. There'll be nobody else to blame. You're gonna call the plays. You're gonna run the offense. When we do good, you're gonna get that praise. But when you do bad, you're gonna take that criticism because it's you that's calling the plays. So hopefully, I sound like, do I want them to win? Absolutely. Probably doesn't sound that way, but I'm tired of being mediocre, right? We are a good football team on paper. We've got some good receivers. How good is our running backs going to be? Well, we finally got rid of Ezekiel Elliott. I loved Ezekiel Elliott when he first came on, but let's face the facts, man. He was just the last 2-3 years, he was not the Zeke that he was when he first came into the league, right? Paying him a lot of that money, not getting the production. He had to go. Zeke had to go, just like Kellen Moore had to go, in my opinion. So now you got Pollard, you got some other guys in there. How are they going to be utilized? We'll find out in preseason in the first couple of weeks to see how McCarthy is going to utilize the run game. He's stating that he wants to run the ball more to give his defense some rest. I think that's a good recipe for success. I think we do need to run the ball more. Hopefully our offensive line will be healthy. I want to see us run the ball more. I want to see us get more first downs. I want to see us control the clock. That's a winning formula still in the NFL, right? So McCarthy's saying all the good things. I don't think, and I think that was a problem. You want to put, we're going to win with Dak's arm. I think he's proven to us that he can be a quarterback that can get a play for us when we need it, possibly keep some drives alive. But you can't ask him and put the game on his arm. He has just proven time and time again that's not going to work, right? So can McCarthy's offense work? Absolutely. I think hopefully he can get Dak into a rhythm. I hope we run the ball a lot more. We don't throw as much, but I hope that when we throw, there are throws that we're working with Dak's strength. Dak has to be better than he was last year. We talk about our defense. They have gotten a lot better. They have re-signed some of the players that we needed to sign. We've got some additional guys I think that are going to help. So defensively, I believe we're going to be better this year than we were last year. That's the strength of the Cowboys. Where are we with our field goal kicker? I have no idea, but we need one. It's very embarrassing when we miss 3 or 4 field goals in a row in a professional game. I don't think I've ever seen that before. So we've got to go out. We've got to get a dependable kicker, whoever that is, that can kick field goals. Hell, you got to make extra points too, but you got to kick field goals. We need a good field goal kicker. Everything that I've said right now, it just all really relies on one person, and that's Dak Prescott. Because as good as our defense is, I believe we're going to go as far as Dak can take us. So Dak's got to eliminate the mistakes. Dak's got to put himself, he's got to understand the offense, whatever that's going to be with Mike McCarthy. I'm sure there's going to be some changes, right? But Dak Prescott cannot turn the ball over. He's got to be better than he was last year. He's got to be better. He's got to be able to make throws. And there's going to come times, guys, when we're going to need Dak to take us down the field to get a field goal or touchdown. He's got to be able to do that. 40 plus million a year, right? And people say, well, you're criticizing about the money. Look, when you sign that contract and you get paid that money, the expectation when you make that much money is that when we need a drive and we need to get you down and you got to get us a field goal, you're going to do it. When we need a touchdown to win a game by 1 point, you're going to do it. You're getting paid that amount of money. When you get paid that amount of money, the expectation is when we need a touchdown, when we need a field goal, and that offense needs to go down the field, you're going to be able to do it however that is. If that's through running or you making a play or you throwing the ball. That has not been the case. Dak Prescott's got to be better than he was last year. If he can do that, I think we're definitely going to be able to get into the playoffs, possibly win the division. Are we better than the 49ers? The 49ers got a little question there with a quarterback, right? Purdy's hurt. Who's going to be their quarterback? I think we got an advantage there. Defensively, they're great. We've got a good defense. Philadelphia and Dallas, I don't know. Are we better than Philly? We went 1-1 last year. I don't know. Can we beat both of those teams? I believe we can if we play our best game. So I'll sum it up this way. We got to win the division. I don't want to have to go to Philly for a playoff game. And I don't want to travel to San Francisco. And those people are going to tell me, well, but they came 2 years ago on the beach. I understand that. But I'd rather play those playoff games in Dallas, right, than having to travel. Now, Aaron Rodgers is out of Green Bay. Dallas could win the NFC. Is it out of our reach? I don't think so. We got to stay healthy. We got to play good defense. I think we will. But offensively, it really comes down to Dak Prescott not turning the ball over, not putting us in bad positions, going within the system. And hopefully Mike McCarthy has figured something out that will help Dak Prescott, because the way Kellen Moore's offense was going at times, like I say, we looked like a Super Bowl team. I mean, but it wasn't consistent. It was good one game. We scored 40-some points, and we looked like, man, we were on our way. The next week they came out, like I said, we looked horrible. So that offense that Kellen Moore had just did not work for us consistently when he was with Dallas. Something had to go. They chose to let Kellen go. That's probably the logical choice. Now it falls on McCarthy's hands. It's on his shoulders. He's got to make sure that we win ball games. He's got to get us to the NFC Championship. One round into the playoffs and lost isn't going to get him his job back, or should not have him come back. Mike McCarthy, I hope he gets us to the Super Bowl, but he's got to at least get the Dallas Cowboys to the NFC Championship game. Does he have to win it? I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. But for me, he's got to get there. If he gets into the playoffs again and we lose again in the first round, he's got to be gone. We got to get another coach in there because one round in the playoffs again and lost isn't going to cut it, in my opinion, to have Mike McCarthy come back to be the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk more about the Cowboys and other teams as we continue to get closer to the season starts. But that's just a little rant that I had for my Dallas Cowboys. It doesn't sound like I'm a Cowboy fan. I am, but boy, I am also tired of losing. I'm tired of saying every year that we're going to win, and we don't. Being realistically, we have not played good enough to get to the Super Bowl. Do we have the capabilities? I do believe we have a great defensive coordinator in Dan Quinn. He's been great since he's been in Dallas, and every year that defense has gotten better. And I think they've gotten better with the players that they've kept and the players that they brought in. So I think defensively, we're healthy. We should be really good. It's on the offensive side of the ball. And Mike McCarthy, you better make sure we get it going. Dallas Cowboy fans, they want to win. They deserve to have a team that can get us into the playoffs and into the NFC Championship. It really falls on you as the head coach and as a coach that's going to be calling the plays offensively. So we will see how the preseason looks, but more importantly, we'll see how the first few weeks of the NFL season starts. So hopefully the Cowboys and what changes they've made and what McCarthy has planned for Dak Prescott, we will see Dak Prescott be better than he was last year. I mean, hopefully it doesn't regress to the way he was last year or worse, because if he doesn't play to the level that we need him to play, the Cowboys will be one and done again in the playoffs. So we'll see what happens. Still a lot more to talk about the Dallas Cowboys, but just kind of want to throw a little rant. Since I'm from Texas, we'll talk a little bit of Texans, talk a little bit of the Dallas Cowboys. But the NFL season is upon us here in a few weeks, and I can't wait till it gets started. And like I said on this podcast, we'll be coming on every day, Monday through Friday, and we'll be talking among football and baseball. We'll be talking about a lot of other stuff. So tomorrow, maybe not too much football talk, but the day after that, pretty much we'll be talking football at least every day that I come on the podcast. Let's see what else is going on in the news. We talked football. Let's see what else. We've talked a little bit of baseball, basketball. Big announcement for the Phoenix Suns. There was some talk that Bradley Beal, a good basketball player. I like Bradley Beal. For all you basketball fans, was going to be on the trading block, right? He had a no trade clause or something like that. That he kind of, if the team wants to trade him to a team that he doesn't want to go to, let's say a non-contending team, he had the authority to veto it and say, no, I'm not going to go, right? So all that being said, they traded him to the Phoenix Suns, and whoa. So when I read the breaking news, I said, whoa, now you've got Kevin Durant, Booker, and Bradley Beal. So here's my opinion on all of this, right? We'll talk more about it. They got DeAndre Ayton, they got Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and Bradley Beal. So with just Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, on paper, this team, those three are better than the top three from Denver. I'm just saying the top three players from Denver, the top three players from Phoenix, if they're all healthy and it's a 3-on-3, I'm taking the three from Phoenix. I'm taking Durant, Beal, and Booker because those guys are an offense machine. Not saying that Murray's not good, not saying that Jokic, but I'm saying I'm taking Phoenix. The problem is that you need more than three people, right? You need the other two to start five, but then you need a bench, right? Now we've seen in the NBA, right? You need a bench. You need some depth, right? Now it's going to be very interesting to see how Phoenix and what players they get to surround this talent, right? So when I see the whole team, I'll say, hey, look, this is who I think is going to win. Right now, I'm going to stick with Denver. Even though I like these three guys, I still don't know who else is going to be on that Phoenix team. That's a lot of money they're paying these guys, right? So if I right now, I'm still taking Denver. I still think Denver today is still the better team, even though they went out and got Bradley Beal. But I saw Jokic do, what I saw Murray do healthy, what I saw the team. That team is still good. So to me, that's still the team to beat. Obviously, they're the champions, right? But as Phoenix starts to bring other players in, I'll have to see the full roster to see what that looks like. But definitely an upgrade to where they were at, for me with Phoenix. The other problem with these three guys are there's a lot of injuries to them. Kevin Durant injured a lot. Bradley Bill has been injured a lot. So, I don't know what the rest of the team and the depth's going to look like, but for Phoenix to have an opportunity to get deep in the playoffs, probably get to the NBA Finals, they're going to have to be healthy. That hasn't been the case the last couple of years. Bradley Bill's been injured a lot. Kevin Durant's got some major injuries. If these guys go down and they don't play, we're looking at what we did in Brooklyn with Harden and Irving. I mean, with Kyrie Irving and Harden and Durant. I mean, everybody was talking about these three. They're going to win some championships. They were injured. They didn't play a lot of games. Kyrie had that issue. It wasn't an injury issue, right? But he had an issue where he didn't play a lot. Harden wanted out. Durant got a little hurt. So you never know what's going to happen. For Phoenix to have an opportunity, those three guys are going to have to stay healthy because they don't have a lot of money to pay other guys to come in. So whatever the roster looks like and whoever they bring in outside of those three guys, for Phoenix to win a lot of games, in my opinion. And by the way, Chris Paul is out. He'll be going to another team. But for me, they got to play 80% of the games, right? For them to even have a chance. Because if Durant's out for 10, 15 games, if Bradley Bill's in now for another 10 games, if Booker's out for 10 games, they ain't going to win. They're just not going to win, right? Because they don't really have the depth. They don't really have anybody else. The offense has to come from these three guys. So one of the things for Phoenix, looking on paper, Bradley Beal going with Durant and Booker, man, that's hyped up, and it should be. And those are three great offensive guys. I mean, they are. But I got to see the way that the rest of that roster is going to fill out because depth in this league plays in the NBA makes a big difference. And so right now, even though I like Phoenix going out and getting Bradley Beal, I am concerned about some of the injuries that they've had prior and, what that rest of that roster is going to look like. For the Lakers, they're getting older, man. Anthony Davis probably have some more injuries. LeBron James will be a year older. They need to keep Austin Reeves. I don't know what their roster is going to look like. They just got swept by Denver. The Clippers, to me, a healthy Kawhi, a healthy Paul George, definitely a team that I think will be in the Western Conference Finals. But neither one of them were available for them this year in the playoffs, and those injuries aren't going to go away with both of those players getting older. So, if the Clippers are healthy, can they make a run to the Western Conference Finals? I think they can. Now we see with Phoenix, if they're healthy and what their roster looks like, they'll be a team that you got to talk about could get to the Western Conference Finals. Denver, I think, is definitely a talk. They'll be back in the Western Conference Finals. The Lakers, I don't think you can throw them out. I don't think they'll make it back. Me personally, but I got to see what their roster is going to look like before I definitely make that final decision. But there's going to be better teams if they stay healthy, and then we got to see what the situation in Dallas is going to be. Kyrie Irving going to sign back with Luka Doncic. I've seen some video where Luka's looking like he's getting himself in shape. So I don't know. Dallas should be better than they were last year. So it'll be tough for the Lakers to get back to the Western Conference Finals. And now with Phoenix getting what they got, Denver's coming back with their whole team. I mean, I don't think you're going to see the Lakers back in the Western Conference Finals. But hey, I was the guy that said this past year that they weren't going to get there, and they got there. So what the heck do I know, right? But definitely, Bradley Beal going to the Phoenix Suns, something to keep an eye on. Definitely on paper, that looks good. But paper doesn't win the championships. You got to play together. It's got to be a chemistry. So still a lot to decide. Or to think to see what that roster is going to look like, to see how competitive they're going to be. But right now, today, as I sit here in the office, I still like the Denver Nuggets to come out of the West and probably be the favorites. But I think they're still the team to beat in the West. I mean, they're the champions, right? So just a little bit of talk there with the NBA. Let's see what else I've got cooking here. The Bradley Beal deal. Let's see, Conor McGregor. That's probably about all. There is that talk too about Deion Sanders. I was reading up on Sanders and his foot possibly having to be amputated. I mean, that's. I mean, I definitely got Deion in my prayers too. It's just sad to see that. I mean, I watched this guy reading up on what he's going through as far as his leg and foot and all of the stuff that's going on in circulation. It's just something that I read up on Deion. I'm a Deion Sanders fan. I was a Deion Sanders fan when he played football, but as a coach, I wish him success when I saw him going to, but I'm not a Colorado fan in college, but I want to see Deion succeed in college football. I'm a fan because I think he could be really good for a lot of the players that, coaches are great. I mean, the coaches do a great job in college, but I think Dion can bring something for a lot of kids. He's played the game business wise, what the NFL, what college is like. He's been there, the grind to get to the NFL, and what he had to go through. But not only that part, but the business part of the football, the money and all that other stuff. I mean, I think parents are going to want to have their kid, the kids that come from the inner city, right? The big cities, who come into college, and then all of a sudden they're throwing a whole bunch of money, right? And what do you do with that money? I mean, you're throwing $1 million to me. I mean, I'm a poor kid, and all of a sudden I have all this money. Could get kids at a young age and even older into a lot of trouble. So I just think that Dion, being that he's kind of from that background, right? I've heard him talk about how he got the name and how he had to put this image up and stuff about Dion. I just think that he's good for college football, and I think he can help out a lot of kids. I think a lot of kids are going to look up to Dion, not just for the coaching part of football, but for the business part as well. So I like what he's doing down there, and I wish him all the luck, and hopefully he'll have some success and can turn this Colorado team around, right? But right now, health wise, boy, that's a lot that he's dealing with, and so definitely I continue to pray for Deion Sanders. I read a lot of articles, anything that comes out on Deion, I'm reading. But Deion, he'll overcome it. I mean, I've heard what he said, but still, those are major issues he's dealing with. So hopefully everything will turn out okay. I'm praying that he won't have to have his leg amputated, but definitely that was just something that I put up here that I had on my notes about Deion Sanders. Um, and then there's Victor Wembanyama, right? Going back to basketball, where, man, this guy coming from France over here. I mean, am I saying the San Antonio, the Spurs? I love the Spurs, right? Am I saying that we're going to make the playoffs next year? Probably not. Um, are we going to get into a championship? When Tim Duncan came, we didn't win a championship, right? It was Kobe and Shaq you had to get through. But I believe that Greg Popovich, a little older now than he was when Tim Duncan and David Robinson got there, but still a great coach who I think still knows how to build these young guys. I think Greg Popovich, even at 73 or 74 years of age, looks toward that challenge to make these young players better, right? So again, we're not going to win the championship in 2 or 3 years, but I do think we're going to get better. And I think for Wimbenyama, right, coming to San Antonio, I don't think he could have came to a better place, a better organization, um, a team that knows how to win, to build from the bottom up. Remember David Robinson? When Tim Duncan came to the NBA, he was a champion. He had never won a championship. I don't know if he won anything in Wake Forest. I'd have to look, but I don't think he did, if memory serves correct. If I'm wrong, I apologize. I'll look it up when I'm done with the podcast. But you know, they built it up. Then he brought in the help. Once he was there, David Robinson, Avery Johnson, and Sean Elliott, they all left. They still had to rebuild. They bring in Manu Ginobili. He wasn't a top pick, and then they bring Tony Parker, a young Tony Parker, who took a lot of criticism when he first got here. He wasn't a great point guard that he ended up being when he left the NBA, right? And then they brought in all those great role players, Steve Kerr, Robert Ory, Boris Diaw. There was always a Bruce Bowen, Kawhi Leonard. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. This is an organization that knows how to build build around the generation or the foundation, which in this case will be Wembanyama. That's why I like him coming to San Antonio, because we've seen Greg Popovich, we've seen R.C. Buford, we have seen the San Antonio Spurs organization be able to build and surround and put role players around their foundation, their player, right? In this case, Wembanyama, right? We've seen the success that they've had, and we've seen the results of what they've done. They've been competitive consistently for 20 something years. with 5 championships. So it was Greg Popovich and it was that front office. Most of those guys are still there. They did it. They're still there now. So if you're Wembanyama and you're coming to San Antonio and you're looking at the history of the San Antonio Spurs and you're looking at what they've done when Tim Duncan came into the league and he left the league, I think 19, 20 years, whatever he played, right? With 5 championships, I think if you're Wembanyama, you got to be saying, man, I couldn't have gone to a better place than the San Antonio Spurs because they are known to build and do. They're going to do it again like they did with Tim Duncan. Now, Popovich a little older, but I think he looks forward to those challenges. And I think San Antonio every year is going to get better, man. And San Antonio just a couple of hours, a 2 hour drive pretty much from where I live. So guess who's going to be going to the games next year? I want to see this cat play. I mean, 7'4", 7'5" with dribbling skills, with a great outside shot. I can't wait to see this kid, and I can't wait to see some of these younger other players that they have currently on the roster that they feel are going to be really good, and what they're going to put around and what experience, what kind of players, because you need experience around these young guys, right in the locker room. So who are they going to bring in? You know, the talk is about Chris Paul. I think Chris Paul at this age is not interested. He'd be a great pick for San Antonio as a leader to help these guys. But I think Chris Paul, and I don't blame him, is looking to try to get on a team where he can win a championship. I don't think he's wanting to come into a team that's rebuilding with a bunch of young guys. I just don't see that. I think Chris Paul is looking to play with a team or to go to a team that gives them the best opportunity to win a championship. So, I don't know. That would be just my thing if I was Chris Paul. But if San Antonio was able to talk him into coming into San Antonio, but that'd be big time because I think Chris Paul would fit very well with what Greg Popovich is trying to build there. But I just don't think that Chris Paul would be interested in going to the San Antonio Spurs. But hey, money talks, everything else walks, right? So we'll see what happens. But definitely looking forward. Wembanyama, I hear, should be playing in the summer league. Not going to play a lot, but should be there to play. So I can't wait till he comes in and plays with summer league with the Spurs and see what he looks like. Kind of get a little taste. So I don't think he's going to play the whole summer, but talks were that he might show up and play a couple of games. So hopefully that'll happen. Hopefully we'll see him. I'm interested in seeing this kid play against some of the talent that we have over here on this side. But I have no question with what I've seen as far as highlights of what this kid is capable of doing. And under the guidance of Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs, sky's the limits for this young cat. Going to do some great things. Hopefully when his career is over, not sure if Popovich will be around when his career is over, right? But hopefully there'll be more championships added to the 5 that we have there in San Antonio. So just want to talk a little bit of sports here. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to stop here. I got some other topics, but I'm going to save them for tomorrow. Also, a lot of stuff going on in the UFC. We'll be talking a little bit about the UFC. I've been reading up a lot of that. Some big fights are coming up with the UFC. Excuse me. With the UFC. Boxing, a big Spence and Crawford coming up, a big boxing fight. So we'll definitely be talking about that as well. And of course, more football right around the corner. We'll be talking some college football as well as professional football. And then also, we'll be talking the college baseball World Series still going on. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow. But a lot to talk about when it comes to professional and college sports. Like I said, UFC, boxing, some good fight matches coming up. NFL just around the corner, man. 6 weeks away from training camp, I believe. And so we're going to start talking every day about what's going on. DeAndre Hopkins, where is he going? Can Aaron Rodgers get the Jets into the championship, AFC championship game? I don't know. So a lot to talk about there. And then, of course, the Major League Baseball, the rest of the season. So a lot to talk about. I'll be back tomorrow around this time to talk more sports. Like I said, you can go to the Universal Sports Network. It's the Universal Sports podcast, the page on Twitter. Just type in Universal Sports. I have schedules there, voting polls that you can vote for your team. And then I'll continue to talk about it just like I do here on the podcast. We'll be talking about it online as well. I'll be giving you my thoughts on what I think is going on with each team. Like I said, the Yankees are kind of falling a little bit, but they are the Yankees. Once Judge gets back, I think they'll get back on their winning ways. So a lot to talk about there. But if you definitely want to vote for a team or your team, different teams get posted different days. Definitely take a look at that. I am getting more votes, so I'm looking to continue to push that and continue to get more votes. I want to push it all the way past 50, all the way up into the hundreds. We do really good in football last year, but other sports are trying to pick them up like we do football. So if you're interested in doing stuff like that, if you're interested in carrying a conversation in the comment sections with me online, just go to the Twitter page there. If there's a team there, definitely put a vote. I'll be putting my votes in. I'll be definitely making some comments there. You can reply and you and I can go back and forth on the comment sections. That's on my Universal Sports Twitter page. So definitely tune into that. There's always teams and polls going up every day. Right now we're in football season. So, I mean, baseball season. So we're doing that more than anything else, but we do UFC, we do boxing, we do all the sports that we talk here, anything with college, anything with professional sports. So just a little bit longer of a podcast than what I thought it was going to be, but I got a little hyped up there about the Dallas Cowboys. But that'll end the episode number 7 here on the Universal Sports podcast, where we talk professional and college sports. I'll be back tomorrow, where we'll talk more college and professional sports. Until then, have a great night, and we'll talk to you guys tomorrow.